Welcome, everyone. I don't know about you, but I'm in St. Louis, Missouri, and we have thunderstorms. So I'm hoping I will not have technical difficulties right now. If I do, I've got lots of team members here to take over, but just a pre-warning. I tend to have a few technology glitches when this happens. All right. Well, as we let folks in, again, welcome so very much to our NCN weekly webinar. Just a note on this, I think most of you have joined us on Friday afternoons, and we are making a little shift. So today is the first of our new start of having Thursday webinars. So be sure that you mark your calendars on Thursdays so that you reserve some time to connect with us and get all this great information that we bring into you. So from now on, we'll be here on Thursday afternoons. So thank you again for joining us. I'm Kristen Wagner. I'm the programs director with NCN. And we've got, I'm sure you know a couple of the familiar faces on the screen as well. We've got some other team members joining us today. We are really excited today to share with you a couple of guests from Northern Initiatives, Chris Wendel and Jessa Armstrong. They are out of the CDFI up in Michigan, serving the communities in Michigan and Wisconsin. And they have a really great support program for small business owners that they're going to share with us today. Chris is the program manager of Initiate, which is the program we get to highlight today. He comes to us with so much experience in retail management, publishing, entrepreneurship, and rural development, and more, I am sure. So he's going to take us through this program, as well as Jessa Armstrong, who is the customer success manager with Initiate. And Jessa holds a degree in international studies from the College of Charleston in South Carolina, and really interesting background as well. Prior to joining this team, she worked in online learning and entrepreneurship in South America, where she also became bilingual in Spanish. So I am so excited to welcome you to our NCN weekly webinars and to share this great program called Initiate with our group. So I'm going to turn it over to you to take us on this amazing tour, and so we can learn more from you.
Okay, thanks, Kristen. Thanks, everybody, for taking the time this afternoon. As Kristen mentioned, my name is Chris Wendel, and I'm with Northern Initiatives. I'm going to share my screen, and we can kind of get into the program here. We're going to talk about, as Kristen mentioned, a program called Initiate. And I wanted to maybe just give a, while I get oriented here, a quick explanation about Northern Initiatives and who we are and how long we've been around. Northern Initiatives is a CDFI, or Community Development Financial Institution, that's based in Marquette, Michigan, which is in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. We've been around for about 27 years, and we grew out of Northern Michigan University, but we lend money, but a part of our mission from the beginning is to offer both money and know-how. So that's the lending piece. And then for the people that borrow from us, we've always been accentuated the idea that we want to help these businesses grow. If they're in the startup phase, we want them to grow into viable businesses that help the communities throughout Michigan and parts of Wisconsin as well, as Kristen mentioned. So a quick history lesson: as the organization grew over the years, about 10 years ago, our board and our organization made a choice and decided that we wanted to expand a little bit southward into other parts of Michigan that we hadn't been in before. And so presently we cover 83 counties, and with that expansion, we've always offered business coaching, and part of the challenge as we expanded was trying to cover the larger geographic area that we're now covering. I'm saying this, then I'm realizing how large of a geographic area that most of you probably cover in some of the regions that you work in. But what happened was we decided that just trying to get coaches to travel hundreds of miles and do multiple trips when we were having more and more loans and more locations was a challenge. So we ended up coming up with the idea of having a website that could complement the one-on-one coaching, have something, what we call blended learning, where the business owners are able to work on their business with resources on this online platform on their own time. And so we formulated at that point, and that's roughly 7 years ago, a website that had 100 resources, and they were videos, guides, templates, tools, and best practice articles. And these were all almost 100% resources that we developed. We had worked with we had vetted a lot of things previously, but it all came together. And so the site was released, and we were using it internally. But then over time, as the site added more resources and became more robust, other organizations like Native 360 became interested in Initiate. So we started to realize, hey, maybe we have something here. And we actually formulated under the umbrella of a nonprofit, a for-profit, which is called Initiate. And we started to sell subscriptions to the Initiate website to other mission-based lenders and CDFIs throughout the country. So really what it is, and we'll get into the site in a few minutes, but we offer those online tools, and we really break down the major areas of emphasis into money, marketing, and management. And we found that those are primarily the areas that people either as business owners have a challenge in, or they have a deficiency in one of those three areas. And we try to teach or coach to those areas that might be a challenge to the business owner. So what we've done is made this part of, with the organizations that subscribe to it and use Initiate, we make this a complement to what they have existing for technical assistance. Most organizations up to this point that we've worked with the subscriptions have some type of technical assistance program or coaching or mentoring. And for us, it's trying to look at what exists and then use the platform and the website to create something that we call blended learning, which I'll talk about even more in a few minutes. So at this point, we have about 24 mission-based lenders that are subscribers. And as of just a few days ago, we had close to 5,000 users. And over the 7 years that the platform's been around, we've had almost 55,000 resource views. So we're growing quickly, but we're also trying to do it in a controlled way so we can offer the good quality responses, and we learn a lot from the subscribers in terms of upgrading and increasing the content. And that's been useful for us. Now we have actually a group of, we meet on a regular basis and do trainings, and we call it our Initiate Learning Community. So we talk to each other, and it's a way that the other subscribers can network and kind of solve their own problems and kind of compare notes on what's going on within their own groups. So this is a lot of words, and I really what we're trying to do here is show on the left how the micro lenders use Initiate. It can also be a professional development tool for the staff. So we onboard and train the staff with Initiate. We make sure that there's a consistent TA experience for all the customers. We're trying to create both efficiencies, but also consistencies within as part of that TA program. We're also able to, with the combination of the coaching and the website, increase outreach and engagement. Most of the organizations that subscribe are lending organizations, so we're trying to mitigate and prevent portfolio problems and mitigate portfolio risk. And that's proven over time, at least with Northern Initiatives, to the use of this blended learning approach has really helped us maybe just spot problem assets before they become bigger problems, and also deal with situations with that coaching and Initiate tool to help businesses maybe get out of a hole if they're in one. We track and monitor clients. There's a back-end part of Initiate that can actually look and see how much they're using, the customers, the business owners are using the platform. And the last one there is getting funder support for TA delivery. So on the right, 24/7 access is kind of a tagline that we use, but a lot of business owners want to do this on their own time. If they're busy working on their business or in their business and they come home and have families and their own life to deal with, that doesn't leave a lot of time for them to really take a step back and work on their business rather than in their business. So the 7 access gives them the opportunity to maybe do this after hours on the weekends when they do have time. Many seasonal businesses will use the platform more when it's a down part of their annual seasons. And we also are able with the subscribers to customize it. So there's resources that many of our subscribers have developed on their own that are really important to them. They can be add-ons as well. I mentioned before how there's user tracking and reporting. So what we do a lot, there might be a customer meeting, there might be an initiate resource that is prescribed for them to look at. And the coach and the business owner agree that that resource will, that business owner will look at that resource. The coach can actually go back and see if that's happening. The other part of that is overall the organization can look at the use of initiate and make that part of their reporting. If there is a, one of the organizations might be an SBA micro lender, there's a requirement sometimes to show the business coaching and the TA. Initiate can help gauge and track that, so it makes the reporting easier for things like that. I mentioned before the Initiate Learning Community, we call it the ILC. This has been really a great group, and it's really increased in terms of communication, both with the regular trainings that we do to the ILC, with the ILC group. But we think, and we know there's a lot of communication and networking that's going on beyond just the meetings that we have. All right, I've alluded to some of these things before. So this is what we hear about TA, and this is what we've responded to with this blended learning approach. We know with business owners, and we call them customers internally with Northern Initiatives, but we know time is limited. These are some of the things we hear. So this is a way that the business owner can use Initiate when they have time in their own schedules. We also hear that unless you're a math or a business major, that finances for most business owners are very intimidating. So there's a lot of videos that can kind of go through somewhat complex financial topics and break them down so people understand the difference between a balance sheet and income statement and maybe a cash flow projection. Business owners learn in response to a need or solve a problem. This is what we're finding, that whatever is keeping that business owner up at night or that challenge is what they gravitate to in terms of looking for a resource on the website. I love this next one. They don't know what they don't know. We're probably, a lot of us can relate to this one. And especially, I'm talking a lot about situations where maybe it's an established business owner. This is especially true in the case of a startup business. And we do have a startup section that we'll talk about. It's rather new to the Initiate platform. The other thing is they want a clear path. They want to have a game plan, and Initiate along with a coaching session, and we actually have what we call a business performance plan that we've recommended to many of the subscribers. They have a clear path. The business owner knows what their goals and objectives are. They know what they need to work on, and the coach does as well. So it gets everybody on the same page. And of course, trust is key. This builds trust over time. The blended learning approach is, again, the combination of the one-on-one coaching and the use of Initiate. Okay. This is the really the way I'm going to get to the site just shortly, but this is a way that for all the organizations, the users are either going to have a access code that's assigned to them by the organization, or they can form a username and password with the URL that's personalized to the organizations that use Initiate. So I'm going to go into the site right now. Let me get out of here. Way up. Give me a second. There we go. All right, and Jessa's going to guide us through. This is the actual site itself, and this is the one that Native 360 uses. So their banner is here at the top. And Jessa, do you want me to just? I'll guide through the website. You can discuss what's here. Okay, this is the home page, right?
Yep.
Okay.
All right. So as you can see, at the top of the page is a customized banner and the logo for Native 360. And So that's what we do for all of our subscribers. They get those customized as well as their subdomain. So it's native360.initiateprosperity. And then at the top, we can also see that we have both English and Spanish. So we will actually be 100% translated to Spanish by the end of June. And then, Chris, if you could go to the Contact a Coach page, so we can see that real quick. We also have this feature, so Contact a Coach, just in case anyone has any specific questions or they really can't find what they're looking for, you're able to put in information from your organization so that they can contact you directly, which can be really handy. And then if we go back home, and as you can see at that on that banner, those are our main categories. So startup, money, marketing, and management. And also you can add unique categories. So if you want to add your own resources, that's available. Our main categories, as Chris had been talking about, money, marketing, and management have been core from the beginning. And then we've recently added startup as its own category because we were hearing so many people ask for more pre-loan TA and more basic new business stuff. So we've created an entire category for that and are continuously building it out. And then if we can scroll down just a little bit.
You bet.
So we really wanted Initiate to be, really easy for people to use. Business owners are busy. They can't go around searching for everything they need. So we've created a one-stop shop with recently visited and favorites on the left. So if they have to hop off what they're doing, they can jump right back in. And then especially for coaches, we found favorites are really handy for those tools that they just keep going back to. And we also have recommended resources. So these are resources that the organization chooses to begin with. And then after someone is using their Initiate account and reading different resources, watching different videos, this is actually intelligent and it will continuously update based off of things that you have viewed. And then there are also featured resources. So these are resources, we just realized right before this that there's a little glitch going on, but usually these are just resources that stay there all the time, whatever your organization finds most important that you always want someone to see when they log in. All right, and so that's basically the main functions of the platform itself. And then I think Chris wanted to just give a little overview of a resource.
Yeah, very quickly, I wanted to point out with each of these categories, there are subcategories that go into more detailed areas of emphasis. If a customer, for example, is having ongoing cash flow issues, we want to direct them to go to the money section, then underneath that cash flow. And if we press on that, all the cash flow related resources come up. So this is a video. I don't want to play it. It doesn't translate well on Zoom for some reason. But this is a video. It talks about the essentials of and why cash flow is critical. And it's not just somebody talking, it's interspersed with actual business owners that we've interviewed that talk about why cash flow has been essential to either running their business and why they have to manage it now. So it makes it much more relatable than just being a talking head talking with just PowerPoint type topics or subjects. Also, I wanted to point out that you can download the transcript or print this out. This is sometimes important when there's not broadband access. The other thing is, in terms of cash flow for any of these topics and subtopics, these are all cash flow related resources. So these go from more basic to more advanced. And there's also the combination of a video, which gives an overview. There's another video about planning for cash flow, but then there's some tools. There's a cash flow budgeting template, which is very useful. And then there's some more detailed things like managing seasonal cash flow, the impact of inventory on cash flow, and so on. I did want to point out, go back to the home page. I'm going to show one resource real quick that we use all the time. This can be used for either a startup business or somebody that has an idea that walks through the door, or somebody that has an established business that really might not And this happens a lot where we see business owners that operate every day and they still don't know what their break-even number is, what their break-even sales number is. So essentially what you're doing here is this, I'm going to let somebody in here. There's an explanation what break-even means, how the tool or the calculator works. And then we go down here and I have some information that I'm going to load that we used previously. If somebody is an established business and they already have financials, maybe from the previous year, you can take the numbers, and in this case, this is a retail store that had sales of $200,000 and their variable costs or their material costs were $105,000. And then they knew what their fixed costs were, anything, all those operating expenses like rent, insurance, utilities. We plug these numbers in, it doesn't take very long to do this, and you get the net income. Then as a percentage of sales, the business owner then realizes what their variable costs and their contribution margin or their fixed costs are. And there's a break-even number. So there it is, pretty quick. So there's a bit of a profit here, but in this particular case, this business owner opened, and this is the first year of operation, and they had not paid themselves yet. So that was causing some friction at home, I think. So in step 2 of this calculator, the owner is able to put in maybe a salary for the next year of $30,000. And what this does is calculate a revised break-even number. So instead of $200,000 a year, if the business owner can generate $252,631, they can pay themselves that $30,000. Maybe it's something where they want to do that and then also hire a part-time employee. There's the profit needed, and that revised break-even number goes to $292,736. The idea is for the business owner to have an idea, have a better idea of variable costs, fixed costs, their break-even point, but great what if scenarios here. Maybe it's a manufacturing business and they want to buy a piece of equipment. If it's a startup situation, many times I've worked this through with many startup scenarios where they can figure out what their fixed costs are. Those are somewhat easier to nail down. They know as a percentage of sales what their cost of goods sold is, maybe from an industry standard, or if they've been in that business, they know it a little bit. And then they can put in what they think their sales can be. And we do this with a startup business by trying to figure out how much they can generate a day and then projecting that out over a week, month, and year. I've gotten to the point with this where this number is super high in order to reach a break-even point. And the person who's thinking of opening the business decides maybe this isn't such a great idea, and they go back to the drawing board and come back with something else. Or they decide maybe they don't want to go into business right now, which is an okay decision to make as well. So that's, I'm going to go back to the PowerPoint quickly here. And give me a second. And again, I want to emphasize what this blended learning approach is. We've talked about it, mentioned it numerous times. It's the existing individual coaching or technical assistance, adding Initiate to it. What we get out of it is a standardized TA approach. There's some efficiencies. Instead of somebody, we talked to somebody yesterday. They said in the course of one day, they had 5 people ask them how to form an LLC. Well, there's a resource on Initiate that can tell you how to do that. The other thing with this is you can measure growth, and there's a better understanding, I think, of the concepts when it's both a coaching type of situation that's reinforced by the Initiate resources as well.
Chris,
okay. Yes.
This is Pete Upton. We could go back to that slide there.
Yeah.
You know, what we do a lot is with this, what we really like with it is we have a marketing coach, we have a QuickBooks coach. So then what we do is last year we actually worked, I guess it was in 2020, we worked with Lakota Funds, Christopher Coburn's group, Cindy Logston's group. So we had a consolidated regional training, and that really worked well. And then what they do is they utilize the templates from Initiate Prosperity and actually the learning guides from Initiate Prosperity. So it really makes it easy for our coaches to do a segment. Right now we have an 8-week, I think we're in our 6th week of an 8-week marketing class that we do on Wednesdays. And our marketing consultant, what she does is she utilizes Initiate Prosperity as her teaching platform. And the participants really like it because then afterwards, everything's at their fingertips. But it's worked well for us to do regional trainings, and then because really what we tried to do with the regional trainings is bring people in from outside of the region, so you don't have 2 coffee shops competing against one another, and they're kind of afraid to share trade secrets. And it really created a great opportunity for restaurants in Oklahoma, a barbecue restaurant, to participate with a barbecue restaurant in Nebraska and share ideas. So it really created a network and a interactive conversation.
Yeah, a couple of things I think relate to that. A lot of the groups are using Initiate successfully with group trainings. So especially if I like the idea of getting non-competing businesses in the same industry together. I think that makes a lot of sense. I think that's what we're going to see more in the future, are more specialized resources for the building trades or restaurants, in particular sectors. So the group training was one thing, and I just lost my train of thought with the second.
Sorry about that.
We'll get back to it. I guess we can open it up for questions and see what else people think.
Absolutely. Thank you, Chris and Jessa. I just wanted to share a couple of my takeaways for the moment, things that stuck out to me. I love the sort of driving force of you don't know what you don't know, because, it's so true. Some of us don't like to admit that all the time, but it's so true, and it drives everything we do. And so the fact that you have so many resources in your platform is really exciting. As a former educator, I also appreciate the way that your platform addresses adult learning styles, variety, kind of a little bit of something for everyone. So, you're someone who likes to read a lot, there's tons to read. If you really need to see and hear, you've got the videos. And then if you need that personal connection, you've got the coaching aspect and the TA aspect. So I love that it incorporates all of those things.
So you just remembered what I was going to mention, is that there are different types of learners, and sometimes the videos are better for people that absorb information that way. Other people like to just sit down and read an article. So yeah, thank you for thinking of what I had forgotten. I appreciate that.
You are welcome. You are welcome. So our first question is just a little more information about what does this cost? What is the investment involved in getting connected to this program?
Jessa, do you want to address that, or you want me to do that?
I can do that.
Okay.
So Initiate is an annual cost. What comes with it is 400 to 500 licenses to be used. So for the customer client. So for an individual organization, it's $20,000 annually. We also have another option that is a shared subscription. So multiple smaller organizations can go in it together. And that's $30,000 a year. But it's split amongst the organizations. And then that does come with just some differences, like it'll be co-branded instead of totally customized for you. But yeah, that's about it.
And that could be up to 5 organizations, right? Okay.
Yep.
And what we did with our subscription is the USDA RBDG grant that paid for it for a period of 3 years, and we did it annually. And I took them through it, and they loved it. So yeah, you can get different grant funding to pay for it. And kind of the way that I look at it is it's really an extension of my staff to a certain degree, because there's so many resources there for the staff to utilize. And the thing that I like about it too is there's a shelf life. If certain topics aren't being covered, there's a shelf life to where that you will take that certain topic down just based upon how many hits it's getting and things of that sort. And then updating the content continually has really helped us too.
Nice. Cindy Middlestad, do you want to join us? Come on in and ask your question.
Sure. Good morning, everyone. So my question is, oftentimes there are unique events or, special TA events, just what was described here in the conversations. Does the site allow for, one-time or special event posting and or registration to those events? And then as the event expires, does the post fall off the site without, human intervention or maintenance?
So we do have an option to connect a Google Calendar to the site. So it would be right under those featured resources on the homepage. So there you could have, training events or registrations, and then it updates as a calendar as the time passes.
Does that answer your question, Cindy?
I think so.
One thing that might be the special events, like we had certain coaches that jump on for a special event. And actually we partnered with Kyle Smith on a training, and we utilized this platform. And then after the training was over, there were other consultants out there that we used. You can allow people access for X amount, or you can turn them off to where they can't access it any longer. So if you're paying X amount of dollars and you for whatever reason you can turn people, deactivate accounts, I guess that would be it.
Jessa, did you want to talk about some of the reporting and the access from the back end of Initiate?
Yeah, sure. So we do have several different reports that you can get information from. I'd say the most used for CDFIs is the hours and resource report, because this shows the exact amount of time that people have spent in Initiate and what resources they've looked at. So coaches like to use this to see if people are doing their homework, if they're looking at what they're asked. And then we also use it for all of our TA reporting.
That's helpful. Thank you. Ian, did you have a question?
Yeah, for both you guys. I've been involved with some of these kind of resource center type initiatives before for tribal leaders or practitioners or small business owners. I'm curious, I would imagine that, these folks, they jump on, they immerse themselves in the content, and then they want to apply it. And so I guess my question would be, is there a way for them to then engage with you and your team to ask for content that you may not have that you can then, post in the future, and or engage in more deep TNA with you and or the host organization that's paying for their access? It's one thing to have Pete reviewing or his staff reviewing the small business clients that they have and seeing what they're perusing on the site, and then maybe having a conversation with them. But ideally you want the user to be able to initiate immediately when they're thinking about these issues and that sort of thing. So I guess any light you could shed on that, or any anecdotal evidence you have of how that's being sort of taken to the next level.
So
Yeah, go ahead.
so if I'm understanding correctly, I would say that with our Initiate learning community that Chris had mentioned, that's when we meet. So there's always a couple representatives from each organization. Some just have one head admin that has a good understanding of the front and back end. Others have all their coaches come. And so that's really where we do a lot of sharing of what people have heard from their customers and what issues they're seeing. And that's kind of what drives our innovation with the resources. So what we hear from them is how we create new resources, or maybe retire old ones, update. So we don't have any contact directly with their customers, but they bring the information back to us, and we're always listening.
Ian, you got me thinking that might be something for us to explore a little bit more, because it makes sense, right? It's more real-time reaction and getting help to that end user, right? Amanda, did you want to say something?
Yeah.
Amanda's here, and she's with Northern Initiatives as well.
Yeah. Hi. been actually involved in the platform since the beginning in 2014 when we first started this. I'm the Chief Strategy Officer at Northern Initiatives. So one of the things I wanted to mention is there actually is a way for people to provide feedback. So we actually have a link where they can, at the bottom of the site as well, at any point, provide feedback to us. So whether it's, we ask, is this an idea? Is there an issue? And then we actually have a database of all the different ideas that we're gathering. So then as we hear them more and more, those are the ones that get prioritized. And we're building content every month. As Pete said too, we're also retiring some too, because it's not just about adding more, it's about having the most relevant content so entrepreneurs can get to those specific resources and questions that they have.
The thing that our clients like about it is that it's free to them. It's like a free resource. And I know a lot of them still, during COVID especially, we utilized it a lot. It became more of our counseling center at night because there was so many, basically, what do I do? How do I get through this? So it really did become like a focal point for us. And we turned into counselors is really what we did in navigating through COVID. And the nice thing about it is there was, how do you come out of COVID now? There was when that was happening. So everything is really relevant because you had a feature on there, how to prepare for the post-COVID, what to do. And they were like, for me, it was like a mind reader that those were the questions we were being asked by our clients. And then voila, it was there like magic. So that was pretty nice.
Yeah, that we had a specific COVID section. We react very quickly to that. We're trying to perceive what we're hearing from our customers, what some of the issues were. And that COVID section over time became the startup section because a lot of those resources were similar. But I thought of a couple yesterday. One is a restaurant. How do you go through the process of preparing to take on online ordering or takeout when you haven't done that before? And, 3 years ago, that wouldn't have been a big priority, but even if this is post-pandemic, then that's something that restaurants find that is very useful. They might even have a whole different group of customers than they did previously because of everything that's happened. So that we're trying. Yeah, we're not always spot on, but we're trying to be proactive with it.
And I think the other nice thing that happened with this was the focus group that we did. We took 10 of our clients and we did a 4-month focus group, or was it 3-month?
I would say it was about 4 months with the initial questions.
Yeah. And so then every month they would meet and go through a training portion of it, and then basically critiqued us on what could we do better? How could we make this more useful to them, and how could we be how could Native 360 just provide better service, technical assistance and things of that sort. So it was really kind of a beneficial tool for us, which then they prepared a report for me, which I shared with our board of directors, and everybody I still have a job, so I must have done okay. They didn't fire me.
Everybody raved about Pete, of course.
Yeah, I had to pay him, but it was good. And to me, what it really does, it creates a good bond, a good relationship. We do the webinars on Wednesday mornings at 9, and this series is on marketing, and it really gets in depth on marketing. And we hired somebody that knows a heck of a lot more about marketing than I do, and been beneficial. And all the content that she needs is right there. It's like she said, this content. And I do believe like there's other businesses locally that she probably utilizes some of that content for, because she does trainings within our region here.
Well, this conversation about kind of the ever-changing landscape of business reminds me of when Jessa, when you were going through the kind of example site for Native 360, it looks like you're able to, first of all, customize for a subscriber? And then in particular with the resources, do you have just kind of like a set, does everybody who subscribes, they get all the resources, or is that an area where you would also customize and like have a menu of options, or how would that work for say a new subscriber coming in?
So all of our subscribers do have access to all of the resources available there. And then they also have the option to add more. So you can add resources unique to your organization, or we have some subscribers who have chosen to do very industry specific resources because that's something that we didn't have at the time. So you have both options, but once you are a subscriber, you do have access to all 300 plus resources.
And, you know, I think the nice thing that it does for me and our team is I have a gentleman who provides a lot of technical assistance, and we have a client out in Western Nebraska that runs a movie theater and then 2 drive-in theaters. And it's just easy to get on a Zoom meeting, pull up our screen and walk him through the challenges that he may have, or just a like creative thinking session. Have you ever thought about this? Have you ever thought about that? But when you serve a large geographic region, this is so beneficial because like I said, the Zooms that we do, and and we're available. The nice thing about it is most of your small business owners right now, especially in certain industries that they're in, are still having challenges due to shortage of employees, and they just can't get away from their business. So this is ideal. We had a restaurant up in northern Nebraska, and you know, the owner's now the cook, you know, and the front desk help, because even in small rural areas, they just cannot find help. So when we communicate with them on marketing and doing different things, we have a marketing team that helps them produce some of their marketing flyers, and we always walk through this process.
Thanks, Pete. Cindy, come on in.
Sure, sorry. So I guess I had another question regarding content as you guys were talking. Does the content broach the conversations of how to do business with the government? You know, things like 8A contracting, or maybe WEB, minority and business-owned enterprises, working in hub zones, anything like that?
No. I mean, I think we kind of mentioned in different parts of different resources. I think it's a good question. I think that's something that we might explore. I know I've been a business consultant for a long time. I think I just know who to refer people to, but again, you have us thinking, I think, about what we might want to do. Because I think that's obviously an opportunity. It's a business might know it's an opportunity, but they wouldn't know the first thing about how to start that process. So to be continued on that one, but the answer is we don't really have anything right now.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
We've run into that question as well, and we've got a good relationship with our SBA office in Omaha. And I always, you know, refer them to the technical aspects of being, you know, 8A certified. I refer them on to someone who does that like on a daily basis. And then any support that we can give them, you know, we provide that. We do have some women minority owned businesses that we work with. And when they get involved in that, we also have a legal team that I refer them to get set up properly, because their organizational docs really have an impact on whether they can be get certified as a, you know, especially if they're married, the husband's part of the organization. It's got to be 51% female native owned in this particular case. So we had to go back through and do the reorganization, because they had come to us after they had already put 50-50 ownership, and that just don't cut it. So then we had to go back through and do 51-49, and then she brought in another partner, and then we had to amend it again for it and to maintain her status. So, and that's where we relied upon like the SBA and, you know, things of that sort to guide us through it.
Ian, go ahead and ask your question.
So apologies if you covered this already and I missed it, but I know from my understanding how the site works. So people, you know, a client or customer will have to log in, right, with their unique authentication username and password. Do they have the ability to bookmark or tag resources that they find of interest to like a personal library to then immediately access on future visits? Because I know having developed similar sites in the past, that's a huge value add for you know, efficiently accessing this kind of material.
Yeah, so each of the resources has a little star. If you put your cursor over that, you can create a list of favorites that then shows up on the dashboard, your own personalized dashboard. And yeah, if you
go to
notice,
Native 360 and create an account today too.
yeah,
And just kind of play around with it. Native 360, if you could put that address up there again, you feel free to create an account and go in.
there you go. Here, let me show real quick what I was talking about. Yeah, so this one's obviously a favorite because I favorited it. And then if I go back to the home page, this is the home page. There's recently visited, and yeah, I have a lot of favorites. So that it goes into this list here. And this could be as long as you want it to be on this side here.
Very nice, very customizable. Other questions you have for the Initiate program?
You know, the one other thing here, Kristen, I don't want to interrupt you, but we do in-person trainings as well, and we utilize this. And actually, if you can go into, where is the section where the canvas? Can you pull that up, Christopher, the canvas?
Yeah. That would be here. There it is.
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah.
And then if you can go, like, pull up the actual chart.
I think it's down below here. Here, there we go.
And it was kind of crazy. We utilize Kyle Smith a lot, and this is the exact canvas model that he uses in his trainings. So when we do our Indianpreneurship trainings, and he does his training, and now we have Initiate Prosperity, we kind of blended all three together. So we still read all the stories from Indianpreneurship, and so it has a cultural relevance, but then Kyle teaches off of this. So it was really kind of interesting. And we were kind of amazed when we first got to playing around with this and ran into this, but this is the exact format that he uses.
So Pete, how long have you been using this platform?
We started in right away after COVID hit. Might have been in April of 2020.
Okay. And what was the key thing that drove you to, like, this is the time, I'm going to do this now?
Everybody, we couldn't reach out to anybody, you know, one-on-one. So we had to do it virtually. And it was being able to have all that material and do webinars and do trainings, you know, it was just right there at your fingertips. And it was really a no-brainer. You know, we thought about trying to create something like this on our own for a number of years, but and then once the USDA said, yeah, it's fundable, you know, we just we got a 2-year subscription. I don't know why we did this, Amanda, I don't know if you can recall, but we did a 2-year subscription to where I'm very competitive, so I wanted I didn't want anyone else to have it in our region. So I think that's what we got. We had like a 2-year subscription to where they wouldn't sell to anyone else in Nebraska.
Yeah, that's the only exclusivity agreement I've done, Pete, but yeah. You're a good negotiator.
Yeah, I tried to negotiate harder, and I'm still not done with you guys yet on this national platform that I want. You notice that she's not saying anything there.
Open to discussions.
Yeah.
Always, and how we can provide more support.
Yeah.
That's great. Well, so if someone is inspired by this conversation today and they really like to get on board and start using Initiate, what's the steps? What's the process for them?
I think our contact info, if you're going to send along the PowerPoint presentation, both my contact information and Jessa Armstrong's are on there. I think we both put in the chat our contact information, but Jessa would be probably the first person to talk to, or myself. And then what we usually do is try to schedule a demo with the organization, maybe have an initial call to kind of walk through and see if it's a good match and how it could work for that group. And then we kind of take it from there.
Great. All right. Any other burning questions?
Could they, could 3 or 4 or 5 native CDFIs get together, and you said it's $30,000? So let's say if you had 5 each, put in 6,000, and it don't matter where they're at, they could still, and then you'd have a drop down menu to where they would identify which organization they were with.
Yep, that's how it would work. It would be co-branded, or we decide the branding if you'd have just want to show all 6 logos or all 5 logos, or if you've created your own, or you've done it under NCN. And then, when somebody creates an account, there is a drop down, or we also could use access codes. So then the access code actually sets that company that they're working with, the CDFI that they're working with. So there's a couple different options, but then it would be tagged in the back end. So when they're doing reporting, just getting the data on your users.
Very cool. Okay. Well, you still have a minute to ask questions if you'd like. As usual, we've been recording this session, so we will be posting it on our YouTube page, which I'm going to put in here in just a moment. So we post all of our webinars on that space, and you can also access them through our website. But really excited to have this opportunity to learn more about Initiate. Sounds like a work in progress, but a really that you're getting feedback from folks and you're constantly evolving it, but a lot of really great resources in there for entrepreneurs and for CDFIs to be able to support their customers. So thank you so very much to Native Initiatives for sharing this information with us today, and we'll get the word out.
Hey, one other question there. Janelle said that she had been told that it couldn't be branded if it was co-branded, but it can be. Okay.
It can be.
All right.
Yes. So sorry about the confusion with that, Janelle.
Thanks. Any other questions or comments?
Oh, thanks for having us.
Thank you.
We appreciate it.
All right. Well, thanks, everyone. Remember, Thursdays from now on. So we'll be seeing you. Hopefully you're subscribed to our newsletter, and we'll continue to get the word out to all of you. So thanks again, and we'll see you again real soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.